everybody, this is Rob for R&B Reviews, and I'm going to be doing a video where I'm kind of killing two birds with one stone. I just found out, even though this news is like 2 months old, I found out that Disney is not going to be doing the remake of Yellow Submarine. They canceled it. This was a topic I brought up a few months ago when I was doing a video on the proposed Wizard of Oz remake, and I'm also going to be reviewing the film Mars Needs Moms. I'm sure a few of you are thinking, Rob, why are you doing a video on two completely unrelated stuff? Well, they're not really unrelated. There's a connection here because Robert Zemeckis, who produced Mars Needs Moms, was the one that was behind getting the Yellow Submarine off the ground, and he also directed films like Back to the Future and Forrest Gump and Who Framed Roger Rabbit. And of course, both films were going to be using the same computer technology. Mars Needs Moms used this technology where they had the actors wearing this outfit that recorded their facial expressions, and it got transferred into the computer, and that's why the film kind of has, the animation kind of looks like real-life human reaction, kind of like what they did with Christmas Carol, which Zemeckis also produced. And so that's why I'm going to be doing it. And also, a key thing, however much money Mars Needs Moms made at the box office would determine whether Yellow Submarine would get off the ground. I finally got around to seeing the movie in a movie theater. It's been out of the general Googleplex theaters for a while, but I ended up going to seeing it at a movie theater near my area where they show movies like after everybody else has, but they do it at a very reasonable price. I paid $4 for a night showing compared to the Googleplexes that do like $7.50 for a weekday night and $10 for a weekend night. So I saved myself some money there checking this movie out. Okay, first, I'm just going to briefly breeze through Mars Needs Moms. It's about a boy named Milo whose mom is kidnapped by Martians, and he sneaks onto their spaceship and tries to save her before Martians try to extract data from her. Even though I heard mostly bad things about this from critics as well as regular moviegoers, I didn't think the movie was horrible, but not great. I mean, I found the beginning to be, for me, the most relatable part. I mean, Milo is being asked to do stuff like do the garbage, answer the phone, eat your broccoli. I mean, you guys remember all that stuff when you had to go through that with your parents, I'm sure. And the dialogue to me sounded like a real conversation between a mother and child, you know, talking to each other. And I think once the film goes off into space, the film turned more into a chase, and it kind of lost, you know, focus, and I think it lost some heart there. While Milo is going all over the place trying to save his mom, he comes across an adult human named Gribble, and he has to save him. At one point, he obviously has to find his mom and try to save her, and he has to try to avoid the Martian leader called the Superior, or no, the Supervisor. I think the best moments are when everybody just stopped running around and chasing each other and sat down and actually had conversations about themselves. Like there's a scene where Gribble and Milo are talking, and Gribble tells Milo how he got to Mars. It develops his backstory, and Milo tells him about him trying to save his mom. Those character development moments, unfortunately, were really limited to a small amount of scenes like that. I think the look of the movie was good, and I think the computer animation looked great, especially with the characters looking like real humans. I think maybe perhaps this movie should have been done as a live-action movie instead. But I think, like I mentioned earlier in the video, the technology with having them record the actors played a role in that. I also enjoyed the Martian Kai who is helping them out, and she learned English by watching these videos, these secret videos where the Martians are trying to study human life, but they're actually episodes of 1960s sitcoms where it's between young hippies, and there's a conflict between conservative adults, and she picks up the hippie language, and I thought that was very cute and funny. But while the movie, it has a message of finding time to raise kids, and kids taking, you know, I think taking their parents for granted. I felt the movie was amusing, but it was just a time killer, and in some ways it was just a missed opportunity for the characters to develop even more. I think this movie also lacked heart, but I think Mars Needs Moms was not a bad movie, but it just wasn't great. I think it's definitely something you could just wait until it comes out on DVD and you can rent. And of course, in the credits, they actually show the actors recording their movements for the computer animation. That was really interesting. Okay, now for the reason why I'm sure many of you are watching this video. Okay, here's an article from the RollingStone.com. It's called Disney Kills Yellow Submarine Remake by Matthew Perpetua. Poor box office for Mars Needs Moms means Robert Zemeckis will not get to update Beatles animated classic. The Walt Disney Company has pulled the plug on director Robert Zemeckis' plan to produce a remake of the Beatles' Yellow Submarine. The movie was to include 16 Beatles songs and the same motion capture technology Zemeckis has used in Beowulf, A Christmas Carol, and Mars Needs Moms, when the later picture only grossed $6.9 million in its first weekend with a budget of $150 million. Disney backed out of its Yellow Submarine commitment due to budget concerns. Zemeckis is now free to shop the Yellow Submarine remake to other studios, but it may be too expensive to produce. Part of the problem, at least in terms of finding financial support, is that Zemeckis' motion capture animated style has failed to catch on with audiences, whereas digital animation from Pixar and DreamWorks have gone over very well at the box office. Zemeckis' movies have been criticized for looking too creepy. And the cast that was rumored to be in this movie was Cary Elwes as George Harrison, Peter Serafinowicz as Paul McCartney, Dean Lennox Kelly as John Lennon, Adam Campbell as Ringo Starr, and rumored that David Tennant was to play the Blue Meanie Chief in this film. Like I mentioned in the other video, I think Yellow Submarine, I was kind of skeptical about whether this would work. I mean, it's a product, the cartoon's a product of its time. I don't know how it can really be updated. I'm sure Zemeckis might have had a plan, but I really think it's kind of weird that he wants to do a remake of it now, especially, well, I don't know, I just think that this was a bad idea to use technology to update the movie. I mean, you can do that if it's done right, but here, if you're going to remake just to show off the technology that was used, computer animation, I don't know if it would work. And even though the cartoon itself was kind of weird and a little bit strange, you know, I know, was he going to try and change it so it would reflect the modern times? I don't know. But, I mean, some people criticize the remake because the Beatles aren't actually going to be doing it, especially when two of the Beatles are no longer with us. But keep in mind, in the cartoon, the Beatles did not provide their own voices. They were provided by other actors. Originally, they didn't want to do the cartoon, and once they saw the cartoon, they were like, hey, let's somehow do a part of it, and that's where they did the epilogue at the end with the live action with them. In a way, I guess I'm kind of glad that Yellow Submarine didn't get off the ground, but I can't help but wonder what would happen if it really did and what it would be like. I mean, would it be a scene-by-scene remake? Would he try to change some things? I don't know. But overall, I was skeptical with the project. I'm kind of glad it didn't get off the ground, but at the same time, I just can't help but wonder what would happen if it did and what would it be like. Who knows? So that's my video on Mars Needs Moms and the Yellow Submarine remake. Feel free to leave any comments about the video. If you've seen Mars Needs Mom, you can tell me what you thought. Or if you have your own opinion about the Yellow Submarine remake that got canceled, that Zemeckis, I guess, is trying to shop around and it's not going anywhere, you can leave your comment about that. So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully we'll see you next time on R&B Review.